The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
According to official statistics in May, the cost of production decreased slightly compared to the previous month. Also, it increased year over year based on the producer price index. For industrial products, the index decreased by 0.5% compared to the previous month, while it increased by 5% compared to the same month last year. In the first quarter of 2025, the average salary in Georgia reached 2,170 Georgian lari, which after income tax amounts to a take-home pay of 1,736 Georgian lari. Compared to the same period last year, the average salary increased by 11.7%. Throughout this week, the lari appreciated against major currencies, and the National Bank reported a decline in inflation expectations among market participants. According to the survey, fewer respondents now expect 4.6 or more than 8 increase in prices over the next year, while more predict price growth in the 2-4 range. Georgia's largest business association also reported that 40% of companies do not expect any changes in the exchange rate between the lari and the dollar. Meanwhile, the reconstruction of Tbilisi Central Telegraph building has been completed by Silk Road Group, adding a new $65 million hotel to Georgia's economy. Tegeta Holding hosted the full leadership team of Lamborghini Automobile Company and, together with them, officially opened a premium showroom and service center for the brand in Tbilisi. This week saw going personal changes in the government. A new prosecutor general was presented, a new head of the revenue service was confirmed, though the new head of the financial policy is still unknown. Even the special penitentiary service got a new director. Additional staff have been added from the prosecutor's office to the audit service. Numerous vacancies are emerging not only in central government but even more so in regional governmental offices. Former officials are also being held accountable. In a reopened case related to abuse of official power, former Deputy Minister of Economy Romeo Mikautadze was arrested.
This is The Checkpoint. I'm Elena Kvangelashvili, author and the host of the show, and the Checkpoint's team is ready to sum up business and economics week for you. Georgian Dream MPs have introduced a draft law that would prohibit individuals who have completed prison sentences but failed to pay court-ordered damages from leaving the country without state permission for up to 16 years. The proposed measure also includes simplified procedures for collecting damages from persons associated with the convicted individual. How the Bachiashvili case may become a precedent. According to MP Archil Gorduladze, co-author of the bill, the legislation would apply to Giorgi Bachiashvili, who was convicted in the high-profile Bitcoin case. On March 10, 2025, Bachiashvili was sentenced to 11 years in prison, and on May 1, 2025, a separate ruling required him to pay 9,000 Bitcoins in damages to Bidzina Ivanishvili, the declared victim. At current market value, the compensation totals approximately $963 million. If the bill is passed, Bachiashvili, who is expected to be released in 2036, would be barred from leaving Georgia until 2052 unless he obtains explicit permission from state authorities. By then, Ivanishvili would be 96 years old. The proposed amendments will apply to any person, including Giorgi Bachiashvili, Gorduladze stated. A specific name is irrelevant. What matters is whether the person has caused damage and failed to compensate the victim. The law ensures that those who inflict massive harm do not walk away freely after serving time only to enjoy the wealth obtained through criminal activity. Key provisions of the bill state that individuals convicted of property-related crimes who fail to pay damages will be prohibited from leaving Georgia for up to 16 years after completing their sentence unless permitted by state authorities. The state will gain enhanced powers to recover damages from individuals associated with the convicted person using simplified enforcement procedures. The bill doubles the statutory limits for expunging criminal records under Article 79 of the Criminal Code. For less serious crimes, from 3 to 6 years; for serious crimes, from 6 to 12 years; for especially serious crimes, from 8 to 16 years. According to the explanatory note, the bill is intended to improve the legal standing of victims and ensure that damages are compensated more effectively. The amendments aim to strengthen victims' rights and create an efficient legal framework to enforce compensation for damage caused by criminal activity, the document states. The Checkpoints interviewed Robert Amsterdam, Georgi Bachiashvili's lawyer, on recent updates and insights on the businessman case. Mr. Amsterdam, thank you for your time and thank you for taking my questions. Georgi Bachiashvili named Anri Okhanashvili, GD head of the State Security Services, as a person who was on board of the same flight that transported him back to Georgia. What does this claim change?
Well, it simply assists us in determining the culpability of the Georgian government for this kidnapping. Again, what Georgia has done in this case is criminal. The Georgian government is behaving like any junta in a country in the third world. They have reduced themselves to a non-recognized non-government using military-style force to go after political opponents. They have to kidnap people because their courts have no legitimacy. Their judges are sanctioned. The world understands this is a criminal operation. And Mr. Ivanishvili and all of his thugs will regret what they've done.
Mamuka Mdinaradze said, joking or half joking, that he's really satisfied if that happened, because like in movies, Okhanashvili managed to have a special operation in another country. What do such comments tell you in this case?
Listen, again, you know, like the mafia, the Georgian government behaves in, you know, criminal ways. They undoubtedly used all forms of state action to attempt to extort an individual for the private gain of Mr. Ivanishvili. Georgia is no longer a state. It is the private playground of a billionaire, and it's completely shameful.
But who supported GD and Ivanishvili's government, as you say, in this particular case? I mean, do you think Bachiashvili was, for example, part of the business deal with UAE, like the international media reports that UAE made this transaction, so to say, possible in exchange to Georgia's support of the UNWTO chair instead of Zurab Pololikashvili? I mean, who is supporting GD in this case?
You know, I want to be clear. We're not going to speculate without the facts in front of us. A crime was committed. People who are involved in this should ultimately go to jail, and we're going to take the time to investigate it properly. Mr. Bachiashvili has a tremendous team of lawyers in Georgia. We're privileged to work with them, and we're lawyers. We're going to investigate and make determinations after due diligence is employed.
But why aren't you stating what the fact might be? For example, in which country was Giorgi Bachiashvili? Was it Abu Dhabi? Was it UAE? Why aren't you stating this information openly?
Well, I think you can assume we have legal reasons for what we're doing. The perpetrator of this crime is the Republic of Georgia, period. The facts that other countries may have been involved all relate to issues that we're in the process of sorting out.
Yes, I understand, but this doesn't change the fact that Giorgi Bachiashvili was somewhere. I mean, who are you hiding this information from? I'm following your logic. If you are saying that prosecutor's office is Ivanishvili's prosecutor's office, then what is the logic of hiding this information and not stating it openly?
No one is hiding. It's very clear where George was at the time it's been reported. But while we're in the process of investigating facts, we don't intend to sit here and make comments that could impede an investigation. Finding out the facts, investigating everything in detail properly is more important than satisfying your curiosity.
Yes, maybe. But these questions stem from the fundamentally different narratives that GD government has and what Bachiashvili has. For example,
George has said, let me just be very clear. George has made it clear he was not found on the border. The Guardian has reported he was in Dubai. So it's very, very clear that the statement by the government was completely false. That much is clear. We're just not going to go into details and antagonize other governments before we've understood exactly what went on.
How satisfying was then Air Georgian Airways' response to Bachiashvili's claims? First, they stated that accusations were completely baseless and meaningless, and later they said that the person who pays for the charter flight has the right to designate any individual to use the return leg, and Georgian Airways does not intervene in this process as the flight is considered private charter ordered by a client. Does this explanation seem grounded and logical to you?
Nothing about this seems grounded and logical. You need to always underscore that Mr. Bachiashvili is a political prisoner. He is guilty of nothing. The courts in Georgia are playing a performance, as is true of any show trial. I'm not going to dignify what they're doing with any justification or legitimacy. It is a bankrupt system. It is morally reprehensible. The charges he faces are bogus and completely absurd. And this all relates to the interest Ivanishvili has in stealing Georgia's money. It's just that simple. And there's nothing complex about what they did. They committed a crime. They kidnapped him. They lied about it. They blindfolded the man. And everyone in Georgia knows that they're completely full of crap and that they have absolutely no basis for what they're doing to this man. Putting him in jail for 11 years. Outrageous. Criminal. The judge who did that will ultimately be sanctioned, as will everyone else involved. Bachiashvili is 100% correct. Every prosecutor, every individual involved with these crimes will ultimately pay a price.
Yesterday, on June 10, Transparency International published a paper. It was titled Georgian Airways Participated in the Abduction of Giorgi Bachiashvili. Earlier, you told us it was rendition instead of arrest. So what is it? What is this case about?
It is rendition. There's not even an issue, and rendition even is too much of a word that makes it appear as if it's a government. The clique around Ivanishvili are not a government; they're a junta. They're not legally empowered. They have no rights. They are criminals, and that's exactly how they should be treated.
Do you know how Bachiashvili is doing in jail?
My understanding is that his treatment inside the prison has been adequate, and that's all I can say.
Is he safe?
No one in a Georgian prison is safe, and I won't go further than to refer everyone to the numerous cases before the ECHR on Georgian prisons. No one inside a Georgian prison is safe. Georgia does not have the rule of law. Georgia's judges are sanctioned. Their penitentiaries are not respected in terms of conforming to international principles. There is nothing good that can be said about Georgia's present situation.
Have you dug deeper into Amsterdam and partners' concerns about the safety and life threats to Giorgi Bachiashvili? Do you have any news in that direction?
Those concerns are only multiplied by the fact that he is now incarcerated. So that's why I want to be extremely cautious about what I say. In terms of prison conditions or anything else, because as on top of everything, George is a hostage.
Where does this case, Bachiashvili's case, take you from here, from this point right now? I mean, you will follow the court decisions and then what? Because you say that it is Ivanishvili's court and you do not have any hope that it will be ruled for Bachiashvili.
There are many options available that are being weighed, and we're not going to outline our legal strategies today for the benefit of Mr. Ivanishvili.
What is your message, the main message then today that you want our viewers and followers to take away from this interview?
That no one is safe in Georgia, that the heroic protests, which are nearing, I think, the 200th day, need only to continue, and that Ivanishvili and his fraudulent government cannot be normalized. That's the message. And this kidnapping is just another example of this junta behaving in a manner that is grossly wrong and illegal.
Thank you, Mr. Amsterdam, for these comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
More on business this week. Natia Taktakishvili will tell us more.
Biltmore Hotel Tbilisi, a premium establishment located on Rustaveli Avenue in the heart of Tbilisi, reports a positive start to the tourist season. According to Mariam Kutateladze, the hotel's sales manager, occupancy rates have risen significantly since May. We can say that situation started to improve in May, and this positive trend has continued in June. In both months, occupancy exceeded 80%, she told BMDG. Kutateladze notes a shift in consumer behavior post-pandemic. While travelers used to book hotels up to a year in advance, last-minute reservations has now become the norm. Business tourism in particular has picked up recently, contributing to the higher occupancy rates. Currently, the Indian market is very active, organizing conferences since June. We have also seen growing interest from the Gulf countries. The number of guests from Israel is also increasing, and starting tomorrow, we will being hosting European groups. So these are mixed groups with no specific country standing out, she said, adding that individual bookings are following similar patterns. Despite the high season, the hotel has kept its prices unchanged. The rate for a standard room, including breakfast, amounts to $200 per night, Kutateladze stated. Georgi Mshidobadze, chairman of Supervisory Board of Georgian Wine Holdings, says that current political climate in Georgia is negatively affecting the business environment, creating a sense of instability and discouraging long-term planning. I would lie if I said that the current political processes have a positive effect on business, Mshidobadze told BMG TV. Of course, these are pessimistic sentiments which create a feeling of instability. Georgian Wine Holding brings together several major companies in wine sector, including Vazi Subani Mamuli, Vardzia Terrace and Royal Khwanchkara. The group manages around 80 hectares of winery across Racha Kakheti and Vardzia, producing up to 45 types of wine and exporting to nearly 20 countries, including United States, China, France and United Kingdom. Mshidobadze emphasized that the prevailing uncertainty has forced businesses to abandon long-term strategies. It's no longer practical to make long-term plans. We are shifted to short-term planning only because we don't know what the situation in the country will be even 2 months from now. Most companies in our sector are doing the same, he said. In addition to domestic instability, global economic developments are adding further pressure on businesses. Mshidobadze cited ongoing trade tension as a key concern. For example, the so-called tariff war between USA and Europe. No one knows how it will develop. This uncertainty creates stress not only for businesses in Georgia, but globally. In an interview with BMG TV, Mshidobadze also shared insights on the country's performance over the first 5 months of the year. While international sales are on track, he noted that challenges remain in the domestic market. Shukhman Wines Chateau Villas and Spa, located in Georgia's Kakheti region, anticipates a 15% increase in hotel occupancy this year, according to Nuta Abramishvili, General Director of Shukhman Group. She discussed the forecast on BMG TV, citing a current 5% rise compared to the same period in 2025. The early months of the year were difficult for the hospitality sector, but recent trends give us reason for optimism, Abramishvili said. Tourism is showing signs of recovery and we expect a strong season. Abramishvili noted that despite a crisis in tourism during the first quarter, positive dynamics began emerging ahead of the summer season. Although growth is slight, it creates positive expectation across the sector, she said. She highlighted an important trend, the rising share of local tourists in the region. Local tourists has particularly reached the level of international tourists, she added, using Shukhman wines as an example. Alongside visitors from traditional markets, Poland, Germany, UK, USA and Israel, the hotel is now attracting guests from destinations such as China and India. Abramishvili also addressed occupancy rates, noting that Shukhman Wines operates at an average annual occupancy of 70%, rising to 90% during the high season, from summer through the fall. Beso Ortoidze, General Director of Development Company RC, declares that the Georgian real estate sector has not seen the arrival of new foreign investment in recent years. Instead, local companies have been driving development through profit reinvestment. Ortoidze shared his views during an interview with Business Morning while commenting on FDI declining construction and real estate sector in Q1 2025. We are closely watching the market and I don't recall any new players or investors entering the real estate sector recently. Current investments are coming from existing actors reinvesting profits or injecting additional capital, said Ortoidze. He emphasized that although local capital currently dominates the sector, foreign investment remains essential in the long term for balanced and sustainable economic growth. He added that despite Georgia obtaining EU candidate status in December 2023, an event has described as a very strong message to the investors, the momentum autumn did not translate into increased foreign interest. According to Ortoidze, international partners are cautious and existing foreign investors are focusing on protecting their current stakes rather than chasing expansion. Official data supports Ortoidze's concern FDI in Georgia dropped by 7.7% in Q1 2023, totaling to $179 million USD. Ortoidze concluded by calling for more proactive, internationally credible engagement from both the public and private sector to restore the investor confidence. You can't attract new investors with domestic recessions alone. There must be internationally recognizable stable signals, something more than political messaging to rebuild this start. Kurashvili wine, located in the village of Tibani, Signari district, is expanding its vineyards as winery representative Zviad Kurashvili stated in an interview with BMDG. This year, the company has planted 9 new grape varieties from Kartli, Imereti, Racha, and Kakheti. We will add 3 new vineyards to 12 hectares, so we will have 15 hectares of vineyards in total, says the company's representative. Kurashvili wine has a family cellar next to the vineyards where 28 clay vessels are located and the primary wine production takes place on the site. We produce 8 types of wine which are entirely from our vineyard, Kurashvili noted. According to him, the company is actively working on exports and about 70% of their products are exported while 30% are sold on the local market. At this stage, Kurashvili wine is sold in about 15 countries. A company representative says that Norway and Australia are promising markets as well. Bakhmaro should not become a resort with 10,000 hotel rooms, but that does not mean that we don't need a big investment, said Georgi Kechagmadze, founder of Panorama Bakhmaro. According to Kechagmadze, the past winter season was successful, but more actively he is needed to raise its profile and attract greater awareness. The winter season went well for 5 companies operating here. We are seeing interest from European skiers. People used to ski in Alps or Japan. This year we hosted 111 guests. While that may seem modest, it's a meaningful number for us. We are already seeing bookings for next season and we already expect over 300 guests. One guest offer leads to 10 more in the future, he said. Kechagmadze emphasized that Bakhmaro should remain its character as a destination for wild off-skiing resort rather than turning into a high-density resort. I strongly believe Bakhmaro needs significant investment. I welcome the involvement of companies like Orbi and Zaza Zoides Investment Group. While I personally did not support the initial version of their project, I understand that it has been revised and it's now heading in a better direction. This kind of investment will benefit the resort. Despite our best effort, we cannot develop at the necessary pace alone, he said. Regarding Panorama Bakhmaro, he noted that the hotel is expanding steadily. A new phase of development is being launched, with Czech investment partners amounting to 300,000 euro. There are partners from Prague who visited us and offered their support. Construction of a new 25-room hotel is already underway. This expansion will allow us to increase both our guests and capacity and employment opportunities in the area, he said. Georgian winery Viniveria is working to enter new export markets in 2025. As the company's founder Zviad Kurashvili noted in an interview with BMDG, the brand's strategic direction this year will be export-oriented. Our company is 20 years old. During this period, winemaking has been continuously developing. We started with 4 types and today we already produce 18 different types of wine. We are growing from year to year, developing new lines. For example, this year we plan to start production sparkling wine, said Kurashvili. It was noting that Viniveria does not own its own vineyards. It buys raw materials from production from different regions from friendly farmers, which allow the company to create a diverse assortment. As the founder of the company says, in the last vintage they presented for the first time a coupage of European and Kakhetian varieties. According to the founder of the winery, at this stage the company already operates in about 20 countries, sales in Norway and Belgium are particularly successful, and they recently found a new partner in the USA and hope that sales in this market will increase. In addition, they are actively working to enter the market of Poland, Japan, and South Korea. At the initial stage, we will probably enter each new market with a volume of 1 container. In general, the export price of our wine is about $5.5 per bottle. The share of export in total sales is about 70%. However, the local market is also very interesting for us, and we are actively working in this area as well, Kurashvili noted.
Lamborghini will be represented on the Georgian market with a wide range of models. A press conference was held prior to the official opening of the showroom. Stefan Winkelmann, president and CEO of Automobile Lamborghini, met with Georgian media. He stated that the initial goal is to sell 30 units, which is based on realistic assessments, while also reflecting an ambitious market positioning. Tegeta Holding is the official representative of the Italian supercar brand in Georgia. We promise our customers that we will exceed their expectations and offer them a truly exceptional experience. Our future vision is not solely focused on increasing sales. We are committed to developing and implementing innovative, technologically advanced products. The company has already updated its model lineup, and all vehicles are now equipped with hybrid systems. By the end of the decade, Lamborghini plans to launch an entirely new fourth model of GT2000, which will further strengthen the brand's position in the premium segment and broaden the range of choices for customers, including those in Georgia, said the president of Automobili Lamborghini. Lamborghini plans a gradual market expansion in partnership with Tegeta, which is the brand's sole official representative in Georgia. On to Georgi Sakadze's exclusive interview with the president of Lamborghini.
Mr. Winkelmann, welcome to Georgia.
Thank you.
Great to have you here with us.
It's a great pleasure for me to be here.
So it's still the unexpected to be expected, but you're in Georgia. Expected the unexpected. You're here, and Automobili Lamborghini is in Georgia. It's a great opportunity. As you mentioned in your presentation, it's 167th dealership.
186.
86.
186 dealership, yes.
You mentioned about some deep monitoring and analysis while you are entering new markets. At the same time, I'm more interested in the details about how your company you're running is following the potential of the market you are trying to enter, and how you fit the priorities and how you analyze the situation prior to the luxury brand as Lamborghini is in Georgia.
So you have a global world of automotive, which is registering 80 million of cars around the globe. This is more or less what is the size of the global market in terms of automotive. Out of these 80 millions, there are more or less 120 to 130,000 luxury cars, super sports, luxury cars, SUVs, and this is distributed all over the globe, and only if you want to be successful, you have to act globally. Otherwise, we cannot survive with just a few markets. So we are putting a ranking of all the markets. For sure, the biggest market is the US, followed by some European markets. In Asia, we have big markets like Japan, Korea, and China. And then we see where the markets are developing, no? In terms of global markets, or in terms of potential of the automotive market and also the luxury market. And when there is, let's say, a certain threshold, we look for potential partners. And this was the case also here in Georgia. And for sure, if you come to Georgia, Tbilisi is the place to be.
So the key factor in succeeding for the luxury car segments is still having global acting presence on
Yes.
the market?
Because we are selling very few cars around
Yes.
the globe, and we cannot, let's say, crowd one market too much, also because there is not the potential. So for us, let's say the Made in Italy is part of our DNA and part of the fact that we are loved around the globe. But for sure, all the luxury markets together make enough market for us to survive and to be successful. If we would just to concentrate on very few markets, there is not enough potential. So we have to go globally and to go global if we want to continue to stay
But
successful.
at the same time, under your leadership, it's been already 2 years, you reached 10K in sales for the cars. After a global strike happening of COVID and things like that, it's a huge impact. Are there any specific moves done from the management?
I know
you
there
can share?
are different things. One is for sure that we have a very shining brand. So in terms of image, the brand is incredibly high. We have renewed the lineup, so the products are in the best shape ever. So there is a high demand of buying our cars. And this is for sure also connected with the fact that there are more people than a decade ago which are able to purchase those type of cars. So the potential of or the number of people is increasing. The ultra high net individuals is increasing worldwide, and this is for sure helping. But we always have to sell less than demand. This is one of the, let's say, the key elements of being successful also in the future.
So at the same time, do you foresee exclusive regional editions or local collaborations that might or reflect Georgian culture and heritage?
No, in terms of the product, we don't do those things because we think that what we do in Italy and what we produce and what we think is fitting for the entire world. So this is done in very few volumes, and in our opinion, they want the original all around the globe. What we're doing for sure is when we are in a country that we do a lot of activities which are happening after the purchasing and after driving the car or while driving the car. And this is important, but not only here in Georgia, we invite also customers from all around the globe to partner up, to come to events which can be road events, so to drive on the road, to drive on racetracks, but also to drive off-road. And then for sure we have a lot of happenings, and via our partners, the dealers, we're inviting the customers all around the globe.
You mentioned about everyone's global shining brand as Lamborghini is. At the same time, worth to mention, how do you maintain Lamborghini's identity through the things happening around like modernization or ESG accomplishment or pressure? So please.
But just a few things. When we speak about Lamborghini, we are always ready to go to the extra mile, always to do the utmost to position the brand in a way that there is no comparison with others. This is one of the things which is making our cars so special in terms of design, but also in terms of performance, but also in terms of refinement, so in terms of quality. Then in terms of emissions, we are doing a lot because we are already carbon neutral in Sant'Agata Bolognese since 2015. And this despite we are growing constantly, not only in terms of build size, but also in number of cars produced and in number of employees. And then we are looking also very carefully in gender equality. We have already 20% of our managers which are female, and this is not something which is easy to achieve because still the majority of the engineers are male. So, but more and more women are approaching also the engineering business or the faculties of engineering, and this for sure is going to help to increase the presence of women in our company.
And still going back to all the messages you delivered through your presentation and then briefing with local and international media. What does today's opening mainly delivers personally from you as a CEO and the chairman of Lamborghini Automobile?
In a very condensed time, I can meet with the owners of the dealership. I can see physically the dealership, what they are doing and how they do it. I can meet with the press, so I can have also, let's say, an exchange of what the press is thinking about us and what I can tell them. And maybe the most important one, I can meet the customers or the ones who are going to become customers in the future. So in a very short period of time of 1.5 days, including the traveling, I get an idea with the boots on the ground to understand what is going on. And this is something which I try to do every time there is an opening. And for sure, here is even more important because one dealership means the presence in the market.
As I mentioned just in the beginning of our itinerary, to resume in the same similar way, is it still to expect the unexpected while Lamborghini is already in Georgia, or it's something that still goes on and never ends?
But this is our aim for sure, not to always to do things which are new and which are not expected by our customers, which is the most important thing, but they have to exceed the expectations.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This presentation we're off.
In the first quarter of 2025, compared to the same period in 2021, the number of people earning a monthly salary of 2,400 lari or more almost doubled. This is stated in the labor market review of the Policy and Management Consulting Group, PMCG. According to the document, the number of people earning up to 600 lari steadily declined each year since 2021, resulting in a decrease of 40.3% in the first quarter of 2025 relative to the same period in 2021. Similarly, the number of people earning between 600 and 1,199 lari also decreased over time. That's minus 17.7%. In contrast, the number of people earning between 1,200 and 2,399 lari increased in the first quarter of 2025 compared to the first quarter of 2021, despite a downward trend that began in the second quarter of 2024. The most substantial growth was recorded among individuals earning 2,400 lari or more, with this group more than doubling by the first quarter of 2025 compared to the first quarter of 2021. Between the first quarter of 2019 and the first quarter of 2025, Georgia's labor market indicators reveal a persistent gender gap with no clear trend toward narrowing. During this period, the female labor force participation rate was on average 21.5 percentage points lower than that of men. This contributed to lower employment levels among women and a lower reported unemployment rate, primarily due to fewer women actively participating in the labor market. In the first quarter of 2025, the unemployment rate declined for both males by 4.8 percentage points and females by 5.5 percentage points compared to the first quarter of 2019. In terms of employment, the male employment rate increased more rapidly by 6.1 percentage points than the female employment rate, 2.9 percentage points. Between the first quarter of 2019 and the first quarter of 2025, a significant gender wage gap persisted, with a woman earning on average 1.5 times less than a man, the document reads. Here are some main economic news and outlook from our short weekly overview.
In Q1 2025, nominal gross domestic product amounted to 21,798 million lari. The real GDP increased by 9.8% year-on-year, while the GDP deflator percentage change equal to 7.4%, according to the National Statistics Office of Georgia. Significant contribution to the real GDP growth in Q1 2025 are related to the increase of value added of the following activities: information and communication 28.6%, education 27.7%, real estate activities 12.9%, wholesale and retail trade, repair motor vehicles and motorcycles 6.1%, public administration and defense, compulsory social security 11%, human health and social work activities 17.9%, transportation and storage 9.5%, financial and insurance activities 8.7%. A decrease in the real value added occurred in agriculture, forestry and fishing, electricity, gas, steam and air conditioning supply. The largest share in GDP by activities held by trade and real estate activities, followed by information and communication. Georgian Dream Minister of Finance Lasha Khutsishvili met with the Executive Director of Saudi Arabian Development Fund, Sultan Al Mashrat, who is visiting Georgia with a delegation. The meeting focused on strengthening bilateral cooperation and exploring new investment opportunities. According to Ministry of Finance, Minister Khutsishvili briefed the Saudi delegation on Georgia's current economic trends and its strategic role as the bridge between Europe and Asia. He emphasized the country's efforts to enhance the competitiveness of its transport infrastructure, including roads, ports and airports, as part of development of Middle Corridor. Khutsishvili expressed hope that the visit would further deepen economic ties and promote increased investment, boosting Georgia's regional and international significance. In response, Sultan Al Mashrat reaffirmed the Saudi Development Fund's interest in expanding cooperation with Georgia. The sites identified energy, real estate, logistics, tourism and other sectors as having strong potential for future investment. Also present at the meeting were Georgian Dream Deputy Minister of Finance Georgi Kakauridze and Ekaterina Gunsadze, along with ambassadors extraordinary and plenipotentiary of Saudi Arabia to Georgia. The final stage of the road tunnel construction connecting University and Petre Kautaradze Street in Tbilisi-Vake district has been completed, Mayor Kakakaladze announced during the City Hall's meeting. According to the mayor, backfilling works around the tunnel have been finalized and a new road leading to the university's high-rise building has also been constructed atop the tunnel. A few weeks ago, we opened the tunnel for traffic. The only remaining task was the backfilling of the surrounding area, which is now finished, Kaladze said. We have also restored the surrounding area to its original form and fully renovated the space. Landscaping will begin in the coming days. Kaladze emphasized that the project is part of city's broader initiative to build safe, modern and functional infrastructure, noting that it improves not only transport connectivity but also urban living environment for residents. Between January and May 2025, $263 million USD was transferred from the United States to Georgia, an increase of 20% or $44 million USD compared to the same period last year. May saw the highest monthly inflow with $59 million USD in transfers from the US, marking a 25% year-on-year increase. The surge in remittances from the US in recent years coincide with a growing wave of migration from Georgia to the United States. For context, remittances from the US totaled to $218 million USD in 2020, less than the amount sent in 5 first months of 2025. Overall, Georgia received $1,399 million USD in remittances during the first 5 months of 2025, a 1.7% increase year-on-year. The United States accounted for 90% of total, followed by Italy with $244 million USD and Russia with $177 million USD. Tbilisi Mayor Kakakaladze is calling on citizens to refrain from misusing parking spaces designed for electric vehicle charging, warning that violations will lead to legal consequences. Speaking at a city government session, Kaladze emphasized that about 100 electric vehicle charging spots have been installed across the capital as part of Tbilisi environmental strategy. However, an increase the number of electric vehicles are occupying these spaces, hindering the initiative. Despite clear markings, constant monitoring and fines, we often see gasoline or diesel vehicles parked in the EU-only spaces. This is not only a violation of the law but also a barrier to making Tbilisi greener and more sustainable, Kaladze said. He stressed that offenders will face strict enforcement. Vehicles blocking EV chargers will be towed to penalty lots. I urge all residents to act responsibly, respect one another and contribute to creating a cleaner and more eco-friendly Tbilisi, Kaladze added. The mayor also highlighted incentive promoting electric vehicle adoption in Georgia, including free custom clearance, free parking and free charging. Georgian Dream Prime Minister Irakli Kobakhidze stated that the ruling Georgian Dream Party sees no need to invite the OSCE Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights to observe the upcoming 2025 local election. His remarks came in response to a journalist's question following a public call by the British Embassy for international observation of the elections. There is generally no such practice of inviting OSCE ODIHR to observe local elections, Kobakhidze said. There have been expectations, including 2021, when those elections were linked to broader parliamentary developments. In some countries, OSCE ODIHR has monitored local elections, but again, those are rare exceptions. As a rule, OSCE ODIHR missions are invited to parliamentary elections. He added that the 2025 municipal elections are expected to be conducted in a completely healthy manner without the need for international observers.
The General Director of the Bank of Georgia, Archil Gachechiladze, sees significant potential for large-scale investment in Georgia's energy sector over the next few years. Speaking at the Galten-Taggart Electricity Sector Conference, Gachechiladze emphasized the critical role that energy plays in the country's overall economic development. Energy is one of the most important sectors for the development of the Georgian economy, he told reporters. This area requires dynamic growth and careful coordination between state strategies, regulatory frameworks, and private sector initiatives. Gachechiladze praised the Galten-Taggart Conference, noting its contribution to shaping informed dialogue and policy in the energy field. He recalled that the firm was among the first in the region to conduct in-depth sector research more than a decade ago and has consistently supported development through such gatherings. According to Gachechiladze, the energy sector offers one of the largest opportunities for investment in Georgia. He projects that tens to hundreds of millions of dollars could be directed into energy infrastructure in the near term. For this to happen, the National Energy Network must be prepared and operational to support new projects, he said. This includes not only strengthening the physical infrastructure, but also ensuring the effective implementation of the contracts for different CFD mechanisms so that electricity generated is paid for fairly and on time. Gachechiladze stressed that if these conditions are met, private sector interests will continue to grow, unlocking vast financing potential for this sector. He also highlighted a sharp rise in lending demand from energy companies. We are not talking about 5% or 10% growth, he said. We're seeing 20 to 30% growth in demand for bank financing from the energy sector. The momentum and activity in this area are very strong. The remarks underscore the growing importance of energy as a strategic pillar in Georgia's economy and the critical role that both the private sector and financial institutions must play to drive progress forward. And that's all for today. We'll meet already next Sunday, but before that, watch and read PMG.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.